Hello there! Is there anyone out there who's excited about Avatar 2? Or is James Cameron's 3D revolution doomed? What is the Avatar sequel? Well over a decade later, even about? Who has murdered Leo in the upcoming See How They Run? What do you think Bill Skarsgård looks like in a horror, but without all the makeup? All this and so much more in this video, so stay tuned. So let's start with, is anyone excited about Avatar 2 or is 3D doomed? 3D has been around a lot longer than you may think. The original 3D phase was in the 1950s. Then there was a brief period when Jaws 3D went to theaters. After that came James Cameron, who was convinced that stereoscopic filmmaking was on its way to become more popular than the Beatles. In between now and then, 3D TVs have come and gone as well. But when is the last time you got excited about those, if ever? Even higher frame rates are now seen as just a bit much, and complaints about it even saw Peter Jackson dull down his Hobbit trilogy. And now, Avatar 2 is coming to theaters worldwide, hopefully in December 2022. But is anyone excited about it at all? Avatar was the movie that gave everything it promised, and then some. But it was followed by greedy Hollywood that cut every possible corner, shot movies in 2D, and patched it up with some post-production magic. And they really thought they could fool us into paying more for it as well. Maybe Cameron really is the only one who can pull a project like this off. And that's the reason that movies like Avatar are exceedingly rare. Not many people are willing to invest not just so much money, but so much love into a project as James Cameron is. Next, what is Avatar 2 about, and when can we see it? We were supposed to return to Pandora in December of 2021, but that date became impossible because of obvious reasons. Now, James Cameron is working on the final touches of Avatar: The Way of Water. This time, we're going to explore some of the regions of Pandora. Jake Sully and Neytiri have formed a family, but find themselves forced to leave their homes. And when an ancient threat resurfaces, Jake has to fight a difficult war against the humans. We'll be enveloped in the gloriously trippy flora and fauna of Pandora, and we'll be introduced to various new water creatures in particular. Jake and Neytiri visit the coastal Na'vi, where we'll find the water creatures that we'll just assume all come with one of those USB-compatible tails that will allow Neytiri and Jake to connect with them on a spiritual level. It's true that the film has been in development since 2017, and we always knew it was going to be a long wait, given the complexity of the mix of live action and motion capture elements. But 2022 is a lot later than anyone was expecting. Luckily, Cameron has promised that it's really only finishing touches that are left. And if that's true, we can all make sure that we'll have a spot reserved for Avatar 2 once it hits theaters on December 16th, 2022. Or are you seriously considering missing out on this once-in-a-lifetime experience? And now, everyone looks guilty in the new trailer for See How They Run. It feels like all the most interesting films are skipping the theaters entirely. But worry not, there's at least one murder mystery comedy that is coming to theaters this fall. See How They Run is a production of Searchlight Pictures, which falls under Disney's 20th Century Studios banner. So this star-packed movie could very well have been sent straight to Hulu. And you may be wondering, well, why didn't it? Well, for one reason, it boasts not one, but three names that are worthy of any theatrical release. Sam Rockwell and Saoirse Ronan are the two lead performers, taking on the roles of Inspector Stoppard and Constable Stalker respectively. They're joined by Adrian Brody, who co-stars as Leo Kopernik, the murder victim. And looking at the trailer, two things became painfully clear. One, this movie absolutely deserves to get a theatrical release. And two, there's a suspicious amount of people who had a good reason to want Leo Kopernik out of the way for good. The story takes place in West End of 1950s London, and a tired-of-life Inspector Stoppard and a little too excited Constable Stalker try to solve the murder of Leo Kopernik, which turns out to be the classic whodunit, except it's inside a glamorously sordid theater. See How They Run will be hitting theaters on September 30th, 2022. So, what else can we expect to see in the coming months? Ever wondered why Bill Skarsgård's performance is just as unnerving without all the makeup? What's the new movie now streaming on Hulu, The Princess, even about? And talking about Hulu, guess what else is coming to Hulu? The Bob's Burgers movie. Let's get going. First up, the new Barbarian trailer shows Bill Skarsgård's return to horror. Bill Skarsgård's name became a staple of the modern horror genre with his performance of Pennywise the Clown in It. He was welcomed with open arms by horror fans, and must have made a lot of friends in higher places for being one of the biggest reasons It did so well at the box office. But that was with makeup and fancy special effects. It's going to be interesting to see Skarsgård convey convey the same level of terror with just his face and body, which shouldn't be too difficult when you're in possession of a mug like Skarsgård. Barbarian tells the story of Tess, who's portrayed by Georgina Campbell, who accidentally rents the same house as Keith, played by our Bill Skarsgård, who's already in the house. Against her better judgment, Tess decides to stay the night, given that the neighborhood looks a bit odd, and it's late. But she'll soon find out that there's much more to be afraid of inside the house when she hears Keith's cries for help in the dark and discovers an underground network of tunnels that lead to rooms that suggest that people were kept there against their will and forced to undergo behavioral treatment. And what is Skarsgård's role in all of this? You'll have to go and see on August 31st, 2022, when Barbarians hits the theaters. Next up, now streaming on Hulu, The Princess. Come on, haven't we all at some point in our lives wondered why there aren't more slow-mo shots and scenes where the heroine, as opposed to the hero, beats the skittles out of a bunch of mean bad guys in movies that are traditionally marketed towards young women and girls? Because we know we have, and that's exactly what The Princess writers Ben Lustig and Jake Thornton were thinking, which is how they came up with The Princess, portrayed by Joey King, a strong-willed royal daughter who refuses to marry the prince she's betrothed to when she recognizes him for the cruel, power-hungry sociopath he is. As a reward for such empowering behavior, the princess is locked away in a remote tower of her father's castle. But now her scorned suitor is hell-bent on simply seizing the throne all for himself, and it falls to the princess to pick up a sword and carve a bloody path through her oblivious captors in order to stop him. If you're thinking, that sounds a whole lot like a mashup of The Raid and Rapunzel, you're not wrong. And this is actually how the writers, Thornton and Lustig, explain how they came up with the concept for the movie, and how they ended up pitching it as well. So if you want to know what a badass princess fighting her way out of trouble all on her own looks like, The Princess is now available to watch on Hulu. And lastly, the Bob's Burgers movie coming to Hulu. 20th Century Fox finally revealed when the Bob's Burgers movie will be available to rewatch from the comfort of our own homes. The movie is based on the animated comedy series Bob's Burgers, which has spanned 12 unforgettable seasons. Bob's Burgers is a burger restaurant that's run by the Belcher family, and it was created by Lorraine Bouchard. Bouchard co-wrote the movie with Nora Smith, and Bernard Derriman was there to co-direct with Bouchard. In the movie, Bob Belcher and his wife Linda Belcher, voiced by H. John Benjamin and John Robert, are facing challenges in keeping the restaurant afloat over the summer. One of these problems is apparently the opening of a sinkhole right in front of the restaurant. At least, that's what the trailer wants us to believe. How are they going to save the restaurant? Dan Mintz, Kirsten Shaw, and Eugene Merman, of course, took up the voices of the younger Belchers, Tina, Louise, and Jean. Larry Murphy, Zach Galifianakis, Jordan Peele, and Kevin Kline also came on board to provide their voices. But if you really can't make it to a theater viewing anymore, you're in luck. On July 12th, 2022, Bob's Burgers movie will be released on Hulu, and you can watch the Bob's Burgers movie wherever and whenever you want. And that's it for now. Are you going to watch the Avatar sequel in the cinema, or do you think the 3D era failed? Let us know in the comments what you think, and thanks for watching.